When you see this picture of potatoes, what's one of the first words that comes to mind? Take a second and think about it. Well, if you're like 82% of American consumers, one of the first words that might come to mind for you is the word Idaho, the state famous, of course, for its potatoes. Now, the capital of Idaho is the city of Boise, which, although very urban and not growing as many potatoes, has been growing massively. And today I'm going to be discussing the question, how has this recent population growth in Boise impacted the city's economic climate? Now, this will be a data story exploring change over time, primarily the last couple decades, and it's intended for business owners and employees considering Boise as a place to do business, although I hope that anyone looking at this data story will be able to gain some insight into the lovely city of Boise. Again, I'm Allison Pettyjohn, and let's begin. So for some background, Boise was ranked by Forbes in 2018 as America's fastest growing metro area, growth being defined in this case as percent change in population over the previous year. Now, population growth is great. It can mean a lot of things for a city, but how has that specifically affected the business climate and employment? Well, let's first look at really how much the population is growing. If you notice, here we are starting in 2010, and the population is just under 206,000. It was growing pretty slowly until 2013, when a massive boom in population caused it to hit almost 224,000 in 2015. Fast forward to 2019, and population is still on the rise, with the city of Boise just over 236,000. Now you'll note that this is just the city of Boise proper, and the metro area has also been growing. Now, here again is that population curve in the more kind of aqua or teal color on your screen. And notice here we're asking, how has per capita income changed with population growth? Have people been making more money? And per capita income has fluctuated. As we would expect, there's a bit of a downturn in 2008-2009 with the recession, but per capita income has been on the rise, with a growth rate almost equivalent to the population growth rate now, and perhaps soon to outpace it. The overall GDP of the city of Boise has been growing as well. Again, the shaded area represents the change in population, and the red line, the city's GDP. Back in 2001, it still had an impressive GDP of around $17 billion. But if you fast forward to 2017, the GDP has almost doubled, growing to close to $34 billion, with a growth rate that, you'll notice, is outpacing the population growth rate. So the city of Boise really is booming. So where are all these people working in Boise? Well, here are a few of the key industries. You'll notice that the biggest industry is healthcare and social assistance, with a number of large hospital systems in Boise to service the population. Manufacturing is also up there, along with administrative and support services such as waste management. Again, you'd expect that with any metro area. Retail trade, professional, scientific, and technical, finance, insurance, information. So Boiseans are really working in a lot of different industries here. You'll notice there's not much as far as arts and entertainment go. That's a scene that in Boise is still catching up to the population growth to mirror what you might see in more of a big city. But if you're a prospective employee, you're probably wondering, well, which industry pays the most? Where should I try to work? And what's fascinating here is that the industries currently paying the most per year are those kind of more blue-collar style industries, such as utilities, manufacturing, professional, scientific, technical, that sort of thing. Whereas down towards the bottom, retail trade, again, remember, one of the biggest industries in terms of number of employees, is actually in kind of a medium to low pay grade per year. So if you're looking to come work in Boise, utilities and manufacturing might be the way to go. Now let's check out how education and unemployment rates have changed as population has gone up. Well, you'd think with more people there might be more unemployed people coming to Boise looking for work as well, but the employment rate has really dropped off, especially in the past 10 years or so. In 2009, the unemployment rate was close to 9%, and now it's dropped off, only down about to 3% or so. The education rate has not grown as fast as the population has. In 2009, only 40% of Boiseans age 25 and over had a higher education degree, and now that amount is only over 45. So not much of a change as far as percentage of population with higher degrees. Now, if you're looking to come work in Boise, some of the top names for companies are St. Luke's Regional Medical Center. Again, remember, healthcare was one of the biggest industries in terms of number of employees. Micron Technology is headquartered in Boise, a world-renowned semiconductor company. Boise State University employs a lot of individuals. So does the military department, St. Alphonsus Health System, Regional Medical Center. Again, more of those healthcare companies. And still in the top 10 are some entertainment, such as you'll notice in the bottom right-hand corner, Bogus Basin Ski Resort is just 45 minutes away from the central downtown and employs individuals as well. If you're looking to set up a business in Boise, you'll probably want to steer clear of healthcare, as those are already pretty prominent companies, but there's a lot of room for growth. So, looking at more of a holistic view, how has Boise's recent population growth impacted the city's economic climate, and what should you consider when owning a business or working in Boise? As I mentioned, healthcare is already a saturated market, which is good for employees. They have a lot of jobs open and a lot of people are working in the healthcare industry, but perhaps not so good for new employers who are in the healthcare sector. Blue-collar labor is in high demand with accordingly high pay. Again, the highest paying industries, utilities, and manufacturing. Boise's GDP and economic power is rapidly rising, so if you're thinking about moving to Boise, it's a good time. The city is headed in a good direction. So overall, one should consider creating if you're an employer or working in if you're an employee in an industry that will help bolster infrastructure growth, as further population growth may necessitate such services. I hope that's given you a good overview of how Boise's recent population growth has impacted the city's economic climate. So come on down to Boise, enjoy some delicious potatoes, and maybe stay and live and work as well.